Summers of my teenage year. The first summer Mom sent us to stay with Uncle Ronnie was punishment for some mischief Layla and I got up to. At 13, it was as if there was a spirit that whispered to me to do certain things, and I usually dragged Layla into them. This time, I had figured out how credit cards worked and bought myself a video game, and Mom was less than pleased. This meant that we would be spending summer in Grover's Peak, a small town by the sea far away from civilization. Uncle Ronnie did not even have a television or DVDs, only old books about history. The only interesting thing there was going to the gift shop which he owned. One afternoon, I was sitting in the living room, when suddenly there was a cracking sound. I went over to the window and saw that a ball had hit it, and hiding behind a tree was a boy with dark hair, looking super scared. "Hey, don't you need your ball?" I asked. "Won't you tell your dad?" His lips quivered a bit. "He's my uncle, and I'll say that it was some kid who ran away, but only on one condition," I said. "What do you need?" he asked. "Do you have video games at your house?" "No, but comics and cable," he grinned as if remembering. "Can I hang there for a while? I'm bored." Luckily, he agreed. I locked up the house and put the keys under the mat and went with him. The whole place was filled with nature and greenery, and crawling with tourists in some areas, but very nice. To my surprise, I found my sister there, playing with his sister, who was about the same age as Layla. We formed a little friendship group with the girls and a few of Seven's friends. I was surprised when he told me that that was his name, but I thought it was cool. That was the best summer of my life, and I wish it could last forever. We went for swims by the beach, built sandcastles, read comic books, and watched TV when we were too tired to do anything. Since phones were not so popular back then, we had no choice but to wait until next summer to see each other. I begged my parents to let us visit Grover's Peak once again, and they were more than happy to let us. Our uncle liked having us around as if we could help out around the shop. I began to suspect as we got older that he was a bit lonely. That was why he was always so happy to have us over. The summer when I was 14 made things different for me and Seven. We grew much closer and would even hold hands. He had a big thing about holding hands, and he made me feel safe, therefore I reciprocated the hand holding. Those were the days where summer romances started to bloom. Most of our group already had our first kiss. I thought I was the only one that had not, but my friend had a secret to share. "Lewis, I've also never kissed anyone," he whispered. "Well, how do you think it feels?" "Brenda says that it felt very nice, but then Warren says it was a bit wet." He laughed. This was a different time, when kids started dating a bit earlier, so it was not uncommon for us to be clueless. "Maybe we should find out." That suggestion alone made me feel shivers down my spine. He smirked and gave me a peck, just as my sister rounded the corner. "Tweedledum and Tweedledoo, Uncle Ronnie got us some ice cream. Are you coming or not?" she said. I was a bit shocked by the kiss, but he ran away, laughing. It was a millisecond, and we did not talk about it ever again. The summer when I was 15, we started to have sleepovers, hold hands, and cuddle a lot. There was nothing to it, I just enjoyed how he felt close to me. Even though we only saw each other for a short time each year, he was my closest friend. Most people counted down to Christmas. I counted down the summer. And lying half naked on green grass with him while trying to guess the images in the clouds, or surfing with him just before the sunset, we always liked to catch the last waves. There was something about being the only ones at the beach. But all was not perfect that summer, because Seven got a girlfriend called Yvette. I felt very betrayed because he'd never told me anything about her. She was not very nice to us, always chewing gum and passing mean comments. When he was around, she would act perfect. This changed things between us because part of me only wanted him for myself. This was the first time that I was confronted by the possibility of me liking him as more than a friend. "Hey, you always look sad. What is it?" "Nothing." I threw a rock into the stream in the forest where he had found me. He always found me, even when I did not want to be found. "Drama king," he huffed. "Yvette slaved," I muttered under my breath. "What did you say?" he asked. "Nothing. I broke up with her," he said, and I should have been sad for him, but my heart leaped with joy. "Why?" I asked. "Having a girlfriend is not as cool as they make it sound," he sat next to me. "Not cooler than having me in your life?" I intertwined our hands. "Yeah, definitely not as cool." When I went home at the end of summer, my heart was heavier. It was getting harder to say goodbye to him every time, and I wished that he did not live halfway across the country. When I turned 16, puberty and hormones hit me like a truck. I grew taller and went through the same changes as other guys, except for one. I wanted nothing to do with girls, even though they would not leave me alone. Layla, who was 1 year younger than me, kept on saying that her friends were begging her to set him up with me. Hell no, would be my answer. My dad, always trying to be a cool dad, urged me, even giving me the talk, but my disinterest in the opposite gender persisted. This was because there was only one person that I thought about, Seven. The summer I was 16 and I went there, he had changed just like I had. Something was different between us. There were lingering looks and the cuddles felt much more intimate. How I wanted to explore these new feelings, at least tell him. But could I accept that I might have been gay? While it was not illegal, it was not as accepted as it is nowadays. One afternoon, it was scorching hot, and we decided to ditch the girls and go into the woods together. We did tons of exploring, pretending we were in some horror movie because one thing that had not changed was our immaturity. Suddenly, he took off his shirt, revealing some abs he did not have the summer before, and I could not help staring. He flung it over some big boulder that we had come across. It was so big that it felt unnatural. We got on it and started speculating about why it was that big. It was obviously a big tree. I offered the logical explanation. Giants brought it here. He was the dreamer between us. Giants do not exist, I rolled my eyes. Wizards? He offered. I laughed so hard that I nearly fell, but he caught me with the surprising new muscles that he had gained over the past year. Then, the air between us became charged, and we leaned in and kissed each other. Unlike that childhood peck that meant nothing, this meant so much more, and I could not help feeling like it had changed everything between us. We tell no one, he said. I agree, I smiled. Our little secret. And we seal it with a kiss. I kissed him once again. What we had between us had been building up to it for such a long time. I was addicted to him after that kiss, and wanted to be as close to him as possible. We would sneak little kisses when the others were not there, but our favorite place was in the woods. We always found ourselves in one particular place, in front of the big boulder that we nicknamed our Kissing Pedestal. We should probably get going, you have to leave soon, he said on my last day there. Want to stay here forever, I whined. Is my little bunny afraid of the big bad world, he asked. I don't want another year without you. It sucks that we cannot call because my parents are on a cheap phone plan. I felt like crying. My dear, look at me, he said, and I complied. We will be back here before you know it. Until then, please remember me by this. He took off his bracelet he always wore. I did not take it off for the rest of the year. One time I got lost, but my whole family turned the house upside down looking for it, and they found it because I was in a rotten mood the whole day. You two are twin flames, my mother said. My heart skipped a beat. How could she know? They're both boys, Mom, Layla asked. Your twin flame can just be a friend that you connect deeply with, Layla, my mother explained. I wish I could tell her that we were romantic twin flames, but I was too scared about how he would react. Yes, I think he is my twin flame. I touched the bracelet and thought back to last summer. As soon as we got to my uncle's house, I did not even finish packing up my stuff before running off with my sister to Seven's house. When we got there, the rest of the gang, Brenda, Layla, Mason, Seven, and I went to hang out in the backyard. Seven's parents were always working and never home. Mason had bought some beers for us, and we were playing a game of truth or dare. If someone could not do the dare, they had to drink. The others were getting carried away. Truth or dare, Lewis, my sister asked. Dare. Last chance to change your mind, she smirked. Oh, whatever, just dare me, I rolled my eyes. I dare you to tie your hand to Seven's hand, and you have to stay like that for the rest of the night, she smirked. The others shrieked with laughter. Come on, do a real dare. They're always together, Brenda said. No takebacks. And so we had to be stuck together for the rest of the night, and it wasn't even difficult. We had our own gestures, and a very similar way of moving. That it was like we were one person. Since we were sleeping over that night, we slept in the same bed as usual. Even though the bindings were off, I still felt a tug to him, and so I moved closer to him. You need cuddles? He whispered. Yes, babe, I said in a softish voice. I like it when you call me that. Things were so much deeper than last summer. We had just been experimenting last time, but we decided to start dating, with the cover that we were inseparable. People did not even bat an eyelid at how we were always touching, wearing matching clothes or going everywhere together. When he was away, I felt so empty that when he came back into the room, it was like a warmth had flooded in again. I did not know what it was, but the connection drove me insane. One night, we decided to go for a late-night swim at the lake while everyone was asleep. We brought along some midnight snacks, as we were both so hungry. It was the perfect date, he said, as we ate our peanuts after we just swam. I wish our family and friends knew about us. Hiding our love, I began. You love me? he interrupted me. Of course I do. I grew so shy. I love you too, my bunny, he kissed me in confirmation. As things got more serious, the question of when we would tell our friends and family hung over us. It was getting more difficult to contain it, and some random strangers had recently picked up that we were a couple. We decided to wait and just enjoy it as if it would never end. I started to think of intimacy with him, and we came so close, but stopped ourselves at the brink of a moment. Oh, how hard it was to pull my body away from his. He was unsure as he did not know if we would even be accepted. This time when I went back home, there was a way to communicate, because my parents got me a small phone. Useless at texting, but good for calls sometimes. There was never any service there, but he called me sometimes when he got to places with more coverage. And then, the last summer came. It was not merely the fact that I was 18 and he would have to go to college soon. My uncle was selling his gift shop and moving to a home. The years had worn him down, but I still blamed the loneliness, and he could not take care of himself anymore. This time, our entire family went there to experience the very last summer at Grover's Peak. It was also the summer when we planned to tell our parents that we were in a relationship. Our family hosted a huge dinner, and his parents came along too. So we had to set up a table in the backyard while they were all waiting for dessert. We decided that it was the time to tell them. We have something to tell you, Seven, the more confident of us two, said. What's up, honey? His mom asked. We both got into the same college, Seven said. He had backed out. While they were cheering, I ripped it out like a band-aid. We are in love with each other. It was deathly still before a barrage of questions rained down on us. Why did you not tell us? For how long? I suspected it. But the consensus was that they accepted we had a deep bond and that we were in love. Even Uncle Ronnie, who was less open-minded, did not have a problem with it. He said to me, just glad you found love. It eluded me for years, he sighed. How? I asked. A story for another day. While everyone else was playing games in the living room, we gave each other a look and escaped into my room. Before the door even closed, he was on me, kissing me on every inch of my body. I could not stop laughing and started to tackle him, but I could barely contain him. But after a while, he stopped. What, Bunny, doesn't like my kisses? You keep kissing me on the nose and you know how tickly I am there, I sulked. Sorry, my dear, let me make it up to you. I could never mistake the expression on his face. He was finally ready for us to take it to the next level. He said that he had been waiting till we told our families. Our first time was sweet, clumsy, and filled with giggles, and I would never trade it for anything. We would only see each other in college again, so we made the most of our last summer in Grover's Peak, where we fell in love. Our summer was filled with our trips to the Kissing Pedestal, where most of our kisses always were. Then there was a steamy passion which took up more of our time. We could not help it as we were hot-blooded lovers, experienced such closeness for the first time ever. This did lead to my sister making me pay her bribes to keep quiet about him sneaking into my room. I could not go too long without having him near me, and her room was next to mine. But I kept your secrets, I started. Yours is juicier and louder, she smirked. Holding out her hand, I gave her a bill, and watched her skipping off to the shops with Brenda. Siblings and bribery should be a felony of its own. Babe, come back to bed, he shouted. Once my uncle's house and shop were sold, we had to leave. It was not the end, but the beginning for both of us. When fall came, we rented our own apartment off campus because we could not bear to be separated in a dorm. We had all the firsts together, the fights, misunderstandings, and beautiful sweet moments. But it was worth all those sleepless nights studying and snapping at each other in the morning, helping each other get rid of homesickness and much more. Our new friends in college jokingly called us the married couple, which I guess we were. We have always been a team because we know each other's deepest fears, falls, and strengths without even speaking. I truly believe that he is my twin flame, and that summer where I stole my mom's credit card and got exiled has to have been the best summer ever. The end. There is nothing as sweet as childhood romance. Do you also have a childhood romance or crush? Please let us know in the comments.